All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Will with Nashville Severe Weather. We are going live for a severe thunderstorm warning in the north part of Davidson County. Get screen share going here in just a second and show you guys what we have going on. Currently, there is a chance for hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds in the north part of the county. Around the Bakers area, Jolton, moving into the Dry Creek Union Hill Road, Goodlettsville, then into Skyline Medical Center, Rivergate Mall area, all with the risk of severe winds. Andrew is working remotely and hopefully keeping up with Twitter. We will get some updates into Instagram as well. But for the most part, we'll follow this here on YouTube Live. Let me get my screen shared up and we can show you guys what's going on with the radar. So we have the severe thunderstorm warning outlined in these yellow polygons. You can see the original one that just clipped Davidson County. You can see this one that extends into the Hendersonville, Lakewood, Inglewood area was just issued because of severe winds. Off to the west, west of Bells Bend and Bellevue is another severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this doesn't come into our county, but this section of the storm here that is out in Cheatham County is quite powerful. If we look at winds, you can see some pixels in here starting to bubble up with perhaps some 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. If we look up in the north part of the county, you'll see some even brighter pixels indicating a heavier wind. So at about 1,000 feet off the ground, the radar at OHX is showing us winds in excess of 40 miles an hour here, just coming into the Bakers and Luton Freeman Hollow area. Let me back out and switch back to our regular radar and take a look at Twitter and see if we have any updates. We do. Andrew's updating Twitter. It looks like 60 mile per hour winds have been reported as the storm comes into northern Davidson County, which is exactly what we would expect. And to be in the Goodlettsville area, Ivy Point, Bakers, Luton here before too long. So let's talk about impacts. If you're outside and you're in any of these polygons, make sure that you head inside a sturdy building. We don't necessarily need to shelter, right? It's not a tornado, but some of these straight line winds can be quite severe. There's a lot of lightning associated with both of these storms as well, and that's a big issue. Let's get this link tweeted out here. All right, sending that link out. Give me just a second. All right. So for those of you just now joining, we're live on YouTube covering severe thunderstorm warning in northern Davidson County. The severe thunderstorm warning is in effect because of reports of severe winds greater than 60 miles an hour, penny-size hail in northern Davidson County. We have another storm to the west here. You can see all the lightning, all these different dots that are in here are lightning strikes using our high resolution lightning mapper. Shout out Patreon supporters. So a very electrical storm that's moving into western Davidson County. So this is Bells Bend, Riverwalk, Bellevue. If they reissue the severe thunderstorm warning, they'll probably be included. Moving back up to the northern part of the county, you can see Ridgetop, Goodlettsville, Jolton, all now encountering a severe thunderstorm that is moving from the northwest to the southeast. We'll put this storm in motion so you can see what it looks like, and you can see it's just a line that is sagging down to the southeast. The winds associated with this are enough to bring down tree limbs, are enough to bring down perhaps power lines. Really don't want to be outside while this is coming through, not only because of the severe wind, but also how electrical this storm is, right? So lots of thunder and lightning associated with this. I'm going to switch to a different product here and give you an idea of what some of these ETA are going to look like. So we'll switch over into our tracking program, and I'll draw a line down here around those storms and move them out. And you can see we expect it to be right now moving into the Kingston Springs area. In about 10 minutes or so, it'll be to Pegram. The storm to the north will encounter Skyline Hospital. The storm will also work its way down into Nashville over, say, the next 30 minutes. So if you're downtown Nashville, or if you're anywhere near, in the inner loop of the city, you've got about 20 minutes or so until these thunderstorm winds are going to be to you, especially the northern part of downtown, the Inglewood area, maybe even East Nashville. We'll probably all see storms, but the most severe winds are going to be in that northern part. Still have my eye on this storm out to the west. Let's check in with the National Weather Service and see if they've mentioned anything there. So it looks like, we got a report in White Bluff of wind gusts to 60 miles an hour. It looks like the Weather Service has issued a special weather statement for that storm and a severe thunderstorm warning for the storm just above it. Okay, good to know. So this severe thunderstorm warning that we have to the west is good for another 15 minutes or so. So we'll start the countdown timer on that and see if they reissue another one that will come into the West Nashville area. I would expect if they draw a new one, it will stretch from Beeman Park down to Bellevue. The current severe thunderstorm warning in Davidson County is in the north part of the county. So some things to think of, some things to get ready for, right? If you are on Old Hickory Lake on up until very recently, what was a really nice sunny Saturday, it's time to start thinking about coming in. If you are outside in the Rivergate area, the Madison Good Pasture area, Goodlettsville, Skyline Medical Center, time to come on inside. I don't see a whole lot of lightning here in the southern part of that storm, but there is a history of frequent lightning. And if you hear it, you're close enough that you need to go inside. Let's flip back over into reports. Give me a second here. Normally Andrew starts these YouTube lives, but I did it this time. So of course the thumbnail is me looking stupidly at my screen as I tweet that link out for this broadcast. But hey, at least we're covering it. So let's back out a little bit and let's talk about what we see. So basically from Scottsville, Kentucky, all the way back to Jackson, Tennessee, a line of thunderstorms. Two complexes within that line are currently in severe thunderstorm warnings. One of them interacts with the northern part of Davidson County. Davidson County, of course, contains Nashville, but the city center is not included in this warning. The area that is included in the warning, Bakers, Ridgeview, the Dry Creek Union Hill Road area, Goodlettsville, Skyline Village area, Rivergate Mall, Madison, Good Pasture, Skyline Hospital, all the way down to Opryland and Inglewood, North Inglewood. So if you're in any of those areas, be on the lookout for possibly severe thunderstorm winds, perhaps hail. We've had reports of penny-size hail with this storm and frequent lightning. We've got the history of lightning with this thunderstorm. So again, here we have Goodlettsville, Cedar Point, Amqui, Madison, all in that severe thunderstorm warning. So that's the north storm. There is a storm to the west as well. It is not into Davidson County yet. This warning is set to expire in about 10 minutes. It is currently in the Dixon and Cheatham counties. It contains possibly penny-size hail as well and potentially damaging winds. The current question that I have, not so much will we see a storm. I think a lot of Davidson and really both counties will eventually see a storm, but will this severe thunderstorm warning continue into Davidson County? Will we have severe criteria achieved in this storm to the west? You can see we've got, I will redraw our ETA tracker here. Whoa, wrong way. I will redraw our ETA tracker here and move this down. And so you can see Westmead in about really any moment now will start to experience a darkening of the skies and wind coming in. Belmont area, Belmead in that northern storm, Lakewood, Melrose, Berry Hill will all experience thunderstorms soon. Expect the storm to be to BNA by about 4:15. And you can see this line of thunderstorms just starting to sink its way south. Let's switch to this. And you can see in here we've got some velocities nearing 50 miles an hour as it moves into the Whites Creek area, Fontenelle, and then again closer to Skyline, Madison, As we point sample in here, there are a little section of these brighter blue colors. This is potentially damaging wind. So if you're in near Chesapeake, Skyline Hospital, Cedar Hill, Talbot's Corner, this little ball here of blue is potentially damaging wind that is sinking southeast into your neighborhood, Inglewood. You're probably going to be next there. Beyond that, down into East Nashville, Shelby Park, Lakewood. This severe thunderstorm warning that is up right now is set to expire at 4 o'clock as well. So about 7-8 minutes away from the National Weather Service, very likely reissuing a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm up north. And as I mentioned, some curiosity as to whether they'll do that for the storm to the west. Now, the radar doesn't have a great view of the winds in this storm to the west. It can see the rain, right? Not much problem there. But what it's having a hard time with are the winds and how they appear on radar. The geometry of the way the storm is moving and the radar beam comes out means it gets kind of a glance look at velocity. The storm to the north, we're not having that issue. We've got a better read on that with the OHX radar. You can see now a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. This one closing in on all of the metro east of about White Bridge Road. So a new severe thunderstorm warning issued by the National Weather Service in Nashville. This severe thunderstorm warning, let me grab some details here. Details aren't posted. 1 second. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning issued, valid until 4:30 this afternoon. They're saying a severe thunderstorm warning, or a severe thunderstorm located near Nashville, moving south at 30 miles an hour, could contain 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Expect damage to roofs, siding, trees, perhaps power lines as well. And the hail mention has been removed. So that's good. But we still expect severe winds to move southeast. And for those winds to impact a number of different communities. So give me a second to back out here. We'll draw some new ETAs on the map. Before I do that, let me again publicize this link on Twitter. Okay, I love that thumbnail. All right, so as promised, let me draw a new tracking here for this section of the storm, this northern storm. All right, so this storm to the north looks like it will encounter the Old Hickory area here in the next couple of minutes. We'll see that storm move into the Belmont, Forest Hills area in the next 15 or so minutes, move into the Midtown, Vanderbilt area in the next about 10 minutes, and then through that to Oak Hill, I-65 and Harding area, and BNA, perhaps over the next 20 minutes. So expecting this severe thunderstorm warning to be in effect for the next 35 minutes or so. and for it to it still be in effect by the time this storm gets down to I-65 and Harding, Creve Hall, BNA. Now, of course, these times are only an estimate, but that is what we're estimating now. So if you're looking for ETAs, how long until it gets to wherever, there are some of those. I'm going to switch gears and move into some of the questions that we're getting in our Twitter feed. One of the questions that I've seen not only here in the YouTube chat, but also in the replies on Twitter, what's the tornado threat? Hardly anything. This morning when intern Elin wrote the blog, the only thing that we included in there was a 5% chance of damaging wind. And that's really the only hazard that we have outside of maybe some small hail and frequent cloud to ground lightning. The wind threat is pretty evident on radar. We'll look at velocities again here in a second. But the tornado threat, the rotational wind, is not a factor today. So no tornado threat really at all. Not no, but very, very low tornado threat for Davidson and Williamson County today. The real threat is with damaging straight line winds. Speaking of those winds, let's clear these ETAs off the board here, and let's take a look at what some of these winds are doing. This tool gives us the ability to point sample these winds. So I'll click and move my cursor over some of these winds, and you can see the miles per hour here on the screen, right? So as I hover in here, there are some these blue tinted cells in here, these blue tinted pixels, 54, almost 55 miles an hour, just north of the severe thunderstorm warning. But I think what the Weather Service is really worried about is what's coming through Chesapeake, the 2465 junction, and then into Inglewood and East Nashville and maybe downtown. And these winds, right, 57 miles an hour, almost 60 miles an hour, these are very likely severe winds moving into the Chesapeake area. When it gets through this junction of I-65 and I-24 north of the city, you'll see that it now is going to move into Inglewood, Germantown, 5 Points. Don't know exactly where this little bowling ball of severe wind is going to go, but if it keeps going the way it's been, it's going to wind up. You can see it in motion here now, moving basically moving southeast. So pretty good expectation that it'll wind up in East Nashville. So if you have friends in East Nashville, let them know, hey, it's time to head inside. There's a severe thunderstorm warning and severe winds heading our way. We'll flip back into our chat room with the NWS to see if they've issued anything. And yeah, still the same warning, still the same impacts, potential 60 mile an hour wind. In this one, they are saying penny hail. Not seeing a huge hail threat today, but it is certainly likely. I'm going to switch back over and look at this storm that was to our west. This is one that had I had some concerns with, right? This complex here appears to have broadened out some. Likely does not contain the same severe winds that the one up north had, or that this one to the west had when it was moving through northern Cheatham County. So they've let that warning expire. I am going to look to see if they've given any reasoning. Yep. So the strongest velocities are approaching the 2465 interchange on the north end of town. And yeah, no need for a severe thunderstorm warning to the west. Doesn't mean it won't storm. It will. There will be thunder and lightning and gusty winds, but no severe winds. The severe wind Our concern there is going to be north of town with this complex that's moving through Madison, Inglewood, the Chesapeake neighborhood, adjacent to Skyline Hospital. We'll go back in the point sampling, and you can see still with each scan of the radar seeing near severe wind, not quite at the surface, but pretty close. All right, let's flip back into the chat here and see what kind of questions we're getting asked. Whoa. All right. No wind in Bellevue. Yeah, so not there yet, but there is a thunderstorm headed that way for sure. High winds in Inglewood blowing east southeast. So thank you for that report, Aaron. That's great to see. We mentioned this earlier, but I think it's worth mentioning, right? Andrew here asks, how are we looking on tornadoes? No tornado threat at the moment. Not no, but very, very low tornado threat with the storms that are moving this way. Our main concern with these storms are damaging straight line winds. So thanks for asking that question. I'm sure lots of you have the same thing. John asked just a few minutes ago here, what about later tonight? Could this storm use up all the energy in the atmosphere and stifle later storms? Yes, that is possible. The current HRRR shows these storms that we have. It's well initialized. It shows these storms that we have on radar that you're looking at right now, these severe thunderstorms on the map in the model. It also shows another line coming through about 8, 9 o'clock this evening. Could this storm use up all the energy? Yes. Will it storm later? Probably. The difference is, we might get some storms later, but they will likely be below severe criteria, considering how stabilized the atmosphere will be once this big line of thunderstorms moves through, right? Once this sinks southeast, which it's doing right now, it will have a stabilizing effect on our atmosphere. But it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Will the atmosphere have a chance to recharge? Probably not, but it's possible. Will the disturbance that's coming through later tonight be powerful enough to ignore whatever whatever happened earlier today? That's something we'll have to look at once this comes through. Good timing here in that once this storm sinks southeast, the Weather Service is going to launch a balloon and we'll get a reading on what the atmosphere looks like ahead of what the model predicts the timing will be for those storms later today. All right. So another question, right? So Brandon again asked the same thing. Will we have more later? Yeah, maybe not. Another question here. ETA on Percy Priest, right? So lots of people enjoying their Saturday on Percy Priest Lake. Hey, I get it. Percy Priest is great, but at the moment, things appear to be okay. If you're on Old Hickory up here in the Hendersonville area, it's game over right now, right? There's a severe thunderstorm warning. Severe winds are coming through the area or potentially coming through the area around Hendersonville. If nothing else, it's at least thundering and lightning enough and raining hard enough for you to not want to be on the lake. Percy Priest, that same thing is going to be coming for you in, let's run our ETA tracker on that and see just how long you think we have. And so into the Percy Priest area within the next 20 minutes or so. So ETAs here for the severe thunderstorm that is moving through northern Davidson County now. The area of severe winds are up here in just north of Inglewood, and we expect them to move southeast into the Opryland area by 427, Shelby Park by 438, etc. This is an old velocity scan. Let me give them the newest one here. So it looks like some of the severe wind that was by the 2465 split, though the radar here doesn't have a great look at it. Let's switch to a different one. And yeah, so moving through BNA right now, severe winds, the Seven Oaks, Glencliff area, these higher pixels here is likely what remains of those 60 or 55 or 60 mile an hour winds that we saw earlier. Let's see if I can get the latest scan here. Okay. And so the latest velocity scan here, yeah, it looks like these winds have died down a little bit. They have gone below severe criteria. I don't see any of those bright light blues that we had. I think what remains of that is coming through Briley Parkway, BNA, about to be at Glencliff. Looks like winds are also now coming in through Oak Hill, Forest Hills, near Percy Warner Park. And if we look at reflectivity over that, you can see that that is just kind of that is ahead of the rain. So wind pushing out ahead of that rain. The rain associated with this is still up in the northern part of the county. Looks like East Nashville is also getting some rain, 5 Points, Shelby Park, Wave Country, just west of there, seeing some rain along with some winds that just came through. So wind out ahead of the rain with these. But the good news is it looks like most, if not all, of those light blue pixels that contained wind higher than 50 miles an hour are gone. I'm not seeing any of those at the moment. The highest wind gust that I can see is going through just south of BNA at about 35 miles per hour. Let's jump on to Twitter. All right, let me take a screenshot of this real quick. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of double duty here on Twitter, so bear with me one moment while I get this out. Okay. Looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for Western Davidson and Williamson. Let's back out. Let's take a look at that. Okay. So, yeah, new severe thunderstorm warning issued for, well, hold on. Let us see. Issued until 4:45 for northwestern Davidson County, northwestern Williamson County. At 4:12, a severe thunderstorm located over Kingston Springs. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving southeast at 10 miles an hour. It has not showed up on that radar product yet, but here it is on a different one. So here you can see the storm that we were talking about. So this was the storm that was to our west earlier that has now turned back into a severe thunderstorm. Looks like some areas of high winds around Fairview area, moving into Fernvale, Leapers Fork. Lots of lightning with this guy again. We've seen some cloud-to-cloud lightning. With this storm, there's a hail marker on this storm as well. That's an algorithmic hail marker, probably not actually hailing there. We'll flip back to the old Hickory radar, see if we get a little bit better picture of just how intense the rainfall is here. You can see very heavy rain as it moves into Riverwalk, Pasco, the Natchez River, or the Natchez Trace Bridge. If you know that green bridge at Highway 100 and Highway 96, anywhere around there, very heavy wind, very heavy rain rather, and all the way down through Fernvale, the Highway 100 exit off of I-40. If you know where Fairview High School is, very heavy rain there. Moving southeast at 10 miles an hour. So we expect it to be soon into Leapers Fork, the Boston area, and Beechwood Plantation. So let me get this guy screenshotted and tweeted out as well. Whoop, wrong one. All right. So as I get this tweet out to the masses, let me go ahead and kind of recap where we are and what we're seeing. So a broader picture that you can see here. What's left of a severe thunderstorm that moved from basically Jolton all the way down to now it's basically turned into a large gust front that is going to move through Percy Priest Lake. So if you're on Percy Priest Lake, wind's about to change. It's about to get a little cooler, come from a different direction, and start to get a little bit darker behind you. Still very heavy rain in the northeast corner of Davidson County, encountering a little bit of an issue with the Conus Islands here around the radar at Old Hickory. But a severe thunderstorm warning here that is set to expire in about 10 minutes. Southwest of that, in western Davidson and Williamson County, a severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds moving through basically a line from Bellevue down past Fairview and out of the county. This storm moving southeast at now about 15 miles per hour or so. And so some severe winds possible with that. I don't know why this radar product is not showing that warning. Hang on. Let's try it again. And yep, okay, we got it back. So with this one in the west, right, we can see that it's going to move southeast in through the Natchez Trace Bridge area, Kingfield, Craigfield, down into Leapers Fork and Boston. We'll put some ETAs on this, and then I'll jump back into the chat to see what kind of questions you guys are asking. And so if I run this southeast, the direction it's heading, you can see that we expect it to get to Grassland in the next 30 minutes or so. Probably, no, that can't be right. Hold on. Yeah, within the next 20 minutes or so to Fieldstone Farms, Grassland, then move in closer to Franklin, northwest of Franklin for sure. So expect it at Fieldstone Farms. Expect it at West Haven in the next 15 to 20 minutes, 20 minutes. And here to Edwin Warner Park in the next 10 minutes or so. So severe thunderstorm warning for this storm to our northwest or to the west of the I-65 corridor, northwest of me. I'm right about there. And looks like some power outage reports. So speaking of reports, let's go into what you guys might be seeing or what kind of questions you guys might be asking. So here is a question from Andrew. Should we expect rain or storms in Donaldson around 6:30? Any chance of it being clear? Yeah, I don't know. It may clear out. It may be through there by then. Nashville Sounds are playing a game. The Twitter said they still plan on playing tonight, but it's coming down really hard at the stadium. Do I think the Sounds game will be canceled? Right? No clue. Tried to build a relationship with the Nashville Sounds a number of years ago. Didn't get very far. Don't really know, have any insight into what they're thinking. If it were, a Titans game, right, obviously they'd probably still be playing unless there was a lightning threat. Baseball is a little bit different, so don't know exactly what they're going to do. It depends on how much rain they eventually get and how quickly that rain can leave the field and how much they've done to mitigate any issues with the rain for that field. So some questions here. Yeah, no, we are not outlooked for tornadoes today, right? So don't see any tornado issues today. I don't think that we'll be seeing too much in the way of rotation with any of these storms. It's just not a part of our ingredients. Flipping back into our big weather service radar up at Old Hickory that is looking southwest of this storm in western Williamson and Davidson County. Our high-res lightning mapper still showing lightning occurring west of Pasco, moving into the Trace Bridge area. So if you live out off Highway 100, Natchez Trace Bridge, right, you are encountering a severe thunderstorm warning at the moment. I'm going to switch radars and look at our velocity scan and see whether or not we can identify any of these areas with severe wind. We can see some brightening here with some of these gusty winds on our velocity scans. So yeah, it looks like that area of heaviest wind will be coming in to the Temple Hills area and then into Grassland, Cottonwood, Kingfield before getting to Leapers Fork, West Haven, and the city of Franklin. Looks like the Weather Service has allowed a severe thunderstorm to expire. That's awesome. So there was a severe thunderstorm warning kind of in between here for this storm that has been coming down through BNA, Oak Hill, Forest Hills. Looks like the Weather Service has chosen to cancel that severe thunderstorm warning. Weather Service telling us that it really wasn't even a hard decision. That thing had considerably weakened as it moved south. We saw that on those velocity scans. We went from velocity scans around 55 to 60 miles an hour down to 30 to 35 miles an hour. So not a hard choice for them to cancel that warning. Here's some thunder outside here. I am in kind of this corner of Davidson, Williamson County, here near this notch in the county line, and can hear thunder to the west associated with this storm that's moving through Riverwalk, Pasco, the Natchez Trace Bridge area, Highway 100, and Highway 96 area. So if you are in Grassland, if you are in Cottonwood, if you are in West Haven, Leapers Fork, looks like this storm is heading your way. Every time I want to update WSV3, I have to relaunch it. Apologies for that. If we switch into NextRad velocity, go ahead and do some point sampling in here. And so, yeah, I mean, there are some pixels that are certainly elevated if we're looking at the TBNA radar, but only seeing 35 to 40 mile an hour winds. Storms pulse up, pulse down, so that could change. It was severe when it came into Davidson and Williamson. It may be just pulsing down, so we'll keep an eye on that. That severe thunderstorm warning that we're looking at there is in effect until 4:45. So we've got a little bit of time before it goes away. Switching back over into your questions. Appreciate this report from Julie. Highway 70 and McCrory getting big rain and thunder, not much wind. Awesome. That kind of correlates with what we're seeing here with the wind pulsing down, right? Not seeing a lot of the bright colors that would be associated with severe wind. This is an anomaly over here. We hope. Yeah, an anomaly here. Another question coming in about tonight. Nashville SC, Geodis Park is having a watch party outside the stadium at 7:30. How's that area looking between now and then? Now that we have kind of transitioned out of really seeing any big severe wind threat here, I will go ahead and start talking some about a forecast. To do that, let me switch into one of our model products. Now, this is not going to be super accurate, right? Because it's not going to have a whole lot of information to go on about what just came through here. But if we look at a loop on this particular model, Now, just to orient you, Nashville is down here, right? This is 4 p.m. You can see the storms working through right now. Now, let's fast forward to about 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., we can see this line starting to form from Cincinnati back down towards Memphis. And as we advance it, it looks like it sort of peters out, right? But there is going to be a lot of moisture around. And so even if it's not directly raining, it's still going to be a pretty wet ground and still a little bit drizzly. But what I'll be watching over the next couple of hours is what happens to this line back here. I can't imagine that it stays together enough to cause any real issues for us. I even more so can't imagine that it will come into an atmosphere that is favorable for severe weather. So what came through now, for those of you that have plans later tonight, this could be a good thing for us, right? It could keep those storms from coming in. It will almost certainly keep those storms from getting severe. So we are counting down until the expiration of this severe thunderstorm warning in western Davidson and Williamson County. We'll kind of start things from the top here and show you what we see. Let me switch back over to our radar product. Still plenty of thunder and lightning around in the western part of Davidson and Williamson County. No doubt about that. There have been, with this storm, severe winds about a few scans ago when it was coming through the Bellevue, Fairview area. Currently, these winds are below severe criteria, at least on radar, and I don't see any reports of anything really, like damage or anything like that coming through. That's good. We'll still have a whole lot of rain move through the Bellevue and western Williamson County area, basically from Bellevue down to, this is West Haven here in the center of the screen. Here is Franklin in the center of the screen. And as we back out, you can see just how wide this rain really is. We put it in motion. You can see it's moving to the southeast. And the last time we sampled it, it was moving southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Let's pop up WSV3 again. And this is such a finicky application. It does some things really, really well, but it freaks out a lot. So let's switch to NextRad. This is our current velocity scan. Here's reflectivity scan. And if we draw some storm tracking on this guy, southeast at 9 miles an hour. You can see it's upon you in Fieldstone Farms in Boston, to West Haven, Cool Springs Galleria, next into Franklin by the top of the hour, if not sooner, into Forest Crossing, McKay's Mill in the 5 o'clock hour. So as long as this thing doesn't fall apart, expect it to move southeast through all of those different communities. We'll take a screenshot of this and throw it on Twitter. Bear with me. I'm doing kind of double duty here, so hang on 1 second. 2 p.m. All right. All right. So got that tweet out. Okay. So looks like National Weather Service has trimmed what we would call trimmed back that severe thunderstorm warning. So let's take a look at that. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning is now a much smaller polygon than it was. It did extend out of the county up to the northwest. But right now you can see that it's much smaller. Let's see if they've given us any insight into that here. Not really. The severe thunderstorm that prompted the warning has moved out of the warned area. So they canceled Davidson and Cheatham out of that warning, but they still say that the severe thunderstorm that is located south of Fairview, moving southeast, it's picked up some speed. Still expect 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And so if we switch to the velocity scan, let's dive in here and look at that. So around the Kingfield neighborhood, seeing some pixels, perhaps elevated wind. Down in Fieldstone Farms, seeing some areas of elevated wind. So on a line from basically Fieldstone Farms through West Haven down to Pinewood Road, exit off 840, if you know where that is, there's a line of potentially severe wind. There's also quite a bit of rain coming through as well. Plenty of 40 and 50 dBz pixels with the rain that's coming through there. And really most of Western Williamson County will experience rain. I think it's only a matter of time before it starts raining in Franklin. As we move back up the line, you can see some rain now approaching Percy Warner. Or I'm sorry, Percy Priest Lake. But a lot of this rain has kind of blobbed out, meaning it's lost its organizational structure. It's no longer as intense as it was, more of just a general blob of rain. And we'll put that in motion so you can see what it looks like moving across. And you'll also see the warnings that we had in place that have now expired, leaving us with just this one almost triangle-shaped polygon down here in western Williamson County. That severe thunderstorm warning that is in western Williamson County is set to expire. I thought it was at 45 after. Yeah, so set to expire here in the next 10 minutes or so. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let me flip back into chat and see how fast are the winds going to be. Yeah, so winds at the surface, probably somewhere around 30 to 40 miles an hour, although potentially could reach up to 60 miles an hour in some of these pockets of higher wind that we were just looking at in there, right? There are some pockets of high wind in there. Lot of rain coming down in Bellevue about 10 minutes ago from Cindy. Thank you for that report. Yeah, undoubtedly a ton of rain is falling associated with this storm in western Williamson County, right? So just to give you kind of an orientation here, this is Fairview. And if we back out, you can see, or I'm sorry, that is Franklin. And if we back out, you can see to the west of that, a big old thunderstorm, plenty of thunder and lightning, and the potential for severe thunderstorm winds. One moment here. Not seeing any damage reports as this thing comes through. That could change as people come out after it stopped raining and see some trees that have fallen or some structures that were damaged or some power lines that are down. But as for right now, not seeing a whole lot of reports. If you do have a report, you do have damage, make sure you hit us up on Twitter. Use the hashtag TSpotter when you tweet us. TSpotter is the program that we worked with the National Weather Service to establish here in Nashville, Middle Tennessee, really, that allow us to communicate incidents of severe weather to the Weather Service in almost real time, right? So if you can get reports to us, make sure that you use that hashtag TSpotter so that we see it quickly and can get it over to the Weather Service. But looking in TSpotter and looking in just our Twitter replies in general, not seeing a whole lot of reports. Some folks without power in the northern part of the county, which I totally believe, we had some really strong winds come through there about an hour or so ago. So that doesn't surprise me. Let me flip back over here to NWS chat, make sure we're not missing anything. I do not see anything. So we are really hanging out until the severe thunderstorm warning expires, which is in about 4 minutes. Yep. So about, I believe, around 4 minutes or so until this thing gets canceled. Still lots of rain, plenty of thunder and lightning moving through Leaper's Fork now, almost to Franklin, moving into West Haven, Legends Ridge, Cottonwood, and Fieldstone Farms. Looks like it is moving through Grassland as well, although Grassland at the moment is outside of the severe thunderstorm warning. Still a whole bunch of rain coming through there. I'd be very curious to see what kind of rain totals we wind up with in southwestern Williamson County, because we had a whole bunch of rain there this morning and then a whole bunch of rain moving through again right now. You can see it disappear off the screen. National Weather Service has expired the severe thunderstorm warning for western Williamson County. So that's going to end our live stream. Thanks a bunch for your patience and bearing with me as we took some time out to address Twitter, kind of a one-man show today for the YouTube Live and Twitter. So I appreciate your patience. Thanks so much for joining. Hopefully we won't need to do this again, but we'll be around later this afternoon and this evening, keeping an eye on what may come and putting those updates on Twitter, Instagram, and I guess Threads. I don't know exactly what we're doing with Threads. I know Graham's working on it, but I think we're still getting some stuff on it. It is not a replacement for Twitter by any means, at least for us and what we do, and at least not yet. I know this whole thing is kind of fluid. But Twitter is really the best way for us to get our information out, in addition to our website and going live on YouTube whenever we have a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning or a flash flood warning. Thanks a bunch for joining. Hopefully we won't have to see you again.